Welcome to PhD with Women on It, Hack the Future. My name is Beata Young, and today's PhD Positivity Hack Delivered will be by our guest, another Beata, Beata Green. Topic: How to Grow a Bespoke Software House. Episode 72 starts here. Let me remind you, this is a grassroots community that focuses on women on IT, an inclusive forum of women in technology, startups, and female leaders who are supported by men as well. And I bring heart to that hustle because empathy is my mojo, and empathy is critical when you're growing a bespoke software house. Let's mention some of the findings or some of the achievements of last week. Great news, everyone. Edna Trainer will have a media training course to help us feel more confident and be in control of our presentation. Edna was a guest last year for our PhD, and she left a huge footprint, whatever you say. It's definitely something that's worth revisiting. Check out previous episode of Positivity with Edna. Excited to see Tutor Web active in a refugee camp, as Smiley Charity is working with Window Trust International to put some educational tablets into a library in Kakuma. Bravo, Gunnar Stefansson. That's another guest of Positivity Hack Delivered. Gunnar was talking about education and blockchain. Check out Liesl Hayes' very informative Lifeheart article on how to practice self-advocacy in the workplace. Go-to guide. Let's go back to today's episode. We are going to learn how to grow a bespoke software house. Growth is a critical part of any business, and it's important for a software company to grow their revenue as well. The process of building a client base, making contacts, and cultivating relationships takes time. Keeping your business running smoothly and making sure everything is on track is crucial. Additionally, staying up to date with the latest technology and trends is critical to remaining competitive. How do you know when to expand? Are there certain steps you should take before making the leap? Positivity Hack Delivered guest Beata Green currently leads the growth and expansion of Head Channel Consulting, a bespoke software and consulting development firm. She started her career in IT with the Financial Times newspaper and worked for other companies in the capacity of the IT strategic advisor, including West LB Bank and the Home Office. Green has been helping clients to implement complex software development solutions for over 20 years, spanning many corporations and SMEs alike. She's passionate about the benefits that technology can deliver to businesses, from improved processes, efficiency, cost reduction, better management information, and competitive innovation. Beata, lovely to see you. Where in the world are you?
So yes, thank you so much for having me. I mean, it's such a privilege to be here. So I'm based in a place called Radlett, which is very near London. It's probably around 30 minutes from London on the train. And it's this most charming Hertfordshire village full of green fields, but still very close to London. So it's just a quick jump, and we can be in central London very quickly. But, delighted to be here to share the knowledge with all of you.
Well, Beata, we are both coming from Poland, so it's even bigger pleasure for me to have double Beata on PhD today. When we talk about bespoke software house, what does it mean exactly? What would be your definition?
Okay, so this is really a very good question. So what do we mean by bespoke? It's very much developed to measure, developed to very specific requirements. And it's a little bit like with the clothing. You can go to the shop and you can get the dress from Zara, which is perfectly fine, but you can also have it very tailored made. And I think what really Bespoke gives companies is that ability to innovate. So create something that is different to what everyone else is having. And why there are so many off-the-shelf products, software products, which can be purchased to do your marketing or your finances. Sometimes these companies discover that they need to be above and beyond that. And this is where bespoke software development companies come in to build something that is specific to the needs. And for example, right now we are building the systems which will be used in Saudi Arabia to manage all of the requirements on very major construction projects, which none of the other products could fulfill.
Excellent. So why did you decide to go into Bespoke? Why not just building any software or just staying in consulting business only?
That's yes, I keep questioning myself this as well, but a lot of it is pure luck and destiny. So when I have to go back to the beginning to answer that question. So when I came to the UK, I married my husband Andy, and that was a long time ago, very long time ago. You really don't want to know. And at that time, there was slightly different attitude to, put it that way, foreigners coming here and working here. So it was really, really difficult for me to find work. And believe me, I applied everywhere and I was very willing to take any job as long as it was an office job. I had a good degree. I was fairly bright. I started studying here, but still, for a couple of years, I've been struggling to get any sensible response. And then I applied to Financial Times for the role of the, it was a sort of trainee managerial role in the IT department. And they've accepted me, and mainly because they were such a different company. They were above their times, and they chosen me as one of the few out of 500 candidates, and they trained me for 2 years. So in a way, I fell into the IT by chance, and I tell you what, I loved it from the start. It was such a great ride, with people, with learning, with ability to being able to shape your career. It's just such a specific industry. And so going back from this, after a few years of doing different types of jobs, I have naively thought that maybe running your own business is going to be much easier than working for someone else. And I set up together with my husband, Andy, a bespoke software development company. So he had a small company then, but then we thought together we can expand it and utilize our connections in Poland. As Beata said, I'm also Polish. It was never an easy ride, but we've chosen to go into bespoke software to deliver the systems to utilize my knowledge and his knowledge from the industry of creating relationships, doing marketing and sales, and also knowledge how to build the product itself. The thing with technology, it always adds value, and what you're creating really changes people's lives. And sometimes it's changes the education, changes the healthcare. So it's always been a very rewarding career path. Not an easy one, but very rewarding.
So every business, a big business, starts small. You started because your husband was already established and had his company. When did you start? I mean, building this bespoke software house?
So
How many years ago?
9 years ago. So that's been almost now 15 years ago. So quite a long time. And for the first few years, we were lying very low. So we only had few developers. And at some point, we have decided to join into another business as well. But later, what became apparent is that we needed to refocus on technology, purely on technology only. And this is when we started scaling. So at some point, our team grew to around 60 people. And then COVID came, and sadly, we had to reduce the team quite drastically. And following COVID, we've decided to slightly change our business model. So we have decided that we no longer need such a big team permanently, but we're going to utilize a combination of very much the sort of full-time employees and contractors to deliver the same workable, scalable software as we did before. But we had to change our business model to adapt it and to really enable it to be more agile to what, as a company we were before, because that created some risks to us before. And we needed to use COVID as the opportunity to really rethink how we deliver our software.
Speaking about COVID, our community has been meeting offline. And when COVID started, we decided to start this live stream, which is Positivity Hack Delivered. So, Beata, thank you very much for being here. And thank you very much, Marianne, for joining us. Hello, Beata and Beata. So excited to learn many things from Beatas. Thank you, Marianne. Lovely to see you too. Beata, I wanted to ask you, if you were starting, where would you start? I mean, how did you plan your business from the scratch?
So it was I can't say we had a plan, which possibly wasn't a good thing not to have. We had my husband already, who started software development business a bit before, had a couple of clients, and we thought we're going to expand on it. So we gradually decided to approach potential clients. We did it at that time through emailing, through cold calling as well. And we gradually build up this client base. And from this initial build, it's almost like a self-perpetuating machine. When you get these first new clients, you get people to join the team, you onboard them, you learn the process of, you improve the process of software development, and you always in search for the new clients. So the pressure is always on. If you want to scale the business, and this is really, really important, you have to learn how to utilize your sales and marketing machine to your best advantage. And in the past, we used to do a lot of this work was done manually. So we would be sending few emails here and there. We would be making few phone calls. But right now, at 14 or 15 years later, everything that is done around sales and marketing should be automated. So I no longer believe in cold calling. It just doesn't work, not at least in our industry. But what I strongly believe in is in utilizing things like HubSpot, like CRM systems, like utilizing things for mailings automation. There are many products out there which could automatically send for you a lot of emails and follow-ups. There are products which integrate with LinkedIn, so you can automatically approach a lot of people on LinkedIn as well. And that's pretty much once you set that process up, it doesn't require that much work. And then obviously a lot of it, like my boss Rich used to say, a lot of it is about podcasting and doing the sort of content distributions and being out there and talking about your experiences. So yes, so I think that the skill in sales and marketing right now is about understanding what technologies are out on the market that can help you fully to automate that process from the beginning to an end. And guess what? It's not easy, okay? It's not easy, but it's such a great thing to be able to do.
So, in terms of sales and marketing, did you employ somebody or you did everything yourself?
Yes, so we did have a team, and in fact, it's the lady that used to work for us for the last 3 years. She's brought a lot of knowledge to us how to automate that process. And then we had we had one person full time, and we had a couple of people part time as well. One person was responsible for the SEO and AdWords side. So the SEO is another thing. And I don't know how much you know about this one, but it's very much about the organic search for your website. And normally the inquiries that, in my view, you get from someone finding you out on the web, looking for your services, finding your website and thinking, okay, there might be something in it. These inquiries are probably of the best quality, have always been the best quality. In addition to all of these other things that you might be doing. But going back to your questions, we had one person full time who's created that process, created our website messaging, created our content. We had one person responsible for the SEO and AdWords, and then we had a couple of students really who were doing LinkedIn targeting. So I would say for a small company like us, that was quite a lot of effort in placing in marketing automation and sales automation processes.
Beata, it's interesting you mentioned SEO because we had Carrie De Phillips, who is the founder of Sisters in SEO, and she's also founder of Content Factory, and she focuses on SEO strategies. Her podcast, her live stream with us is available online. Please check it out. Right. So there was lots of effort when it comes to marketing and sales. What about capital? Do you need capital to start a bespoke software company, or can you start it in your garage?
You can definitely start it without much capital. So that's why probably there is so much competition in it. However, at some point, so what you have to do, you can start it without the capital, but what it won't enable you to do to scale quite quickly, because your clients should pay you. I'm saying they won't. They should pay you within a month. But often you find that they don't, and you really need to have a certain backup of cash to be able to pay your people in order to survive to the next month. So yes, you can start without the capital, but sometimes you will need that backup in terms of maybe having an overdraft in the bank, maybe finding a little money from your family or utilizing your own resources. And then what you have to do once you run the business, which you have to really be very aware of from month to month, is to monitor your cash flow very tightly. Because if you go down on cash flow and there is, apologies for this, there is a chance that you won't pay your people, then it's going to cause a lot of problems. So you need to be very tight on this. It's you have to have like a monthly cycle. This is where the money comes from. This is when it's going to be in my bank account, and will I have enough at the month end?
Right, we talked about capital. I think judging from what Poland looks like, I was praised quite often by how I was able to bootstrap my ideas. And as a startup founder, serial entrepreneur, quite often you just have to make sure you've got some backup, but also you can find cheaper solutions. Let's go into people hiring. How did you know you need to hire somebody, and when did it happen? How many months into the process?
So we knew, and again, there are different hiring approaches. What we used to do, we maybe hired people a little bit too soon. So on recommendation of the experience that we had, it's probably the best approach is wait till you have signed contract. And when you have signed contract, negotiate the starting date, which will allow you to get that hire. So hiring is one of my hot subjects. And specifically now in technology, it's incredibly difficult to find good people. And COVID changed so much as well. It's the balance of power is so much without, as you probably know, so much with employees right now the prices are going up and up for good talent, and I think people want so much more than money now. So your cards to hiring are obviously you have to pay well, you have to pay market rates, but as the employer you need to offer so much more. And working from home is granted. You will not find anyone anymore who wants to come to the office in this industry, or very, very unlikely. But you also have to look at standard things like insurances, some other benefits, gym memberships, anything else that you can give. But also, what it always comes down to is company culture and values. It's about having the company that people can identify with. It's not easy sometimes, but it's not impossible. And I think for me, the key thing to it is really about three things. You just have to be yourself, and you have to be honest. You have to have the respect for others. You have to create the teams with empathy, and you just look after each other as just normal human being. And I think if you,
Excellent.
sorry.
That's okay. I just wanted to mention a couple of comments arrived, and I see that In Loving in Pain is enjoying it as well. Hi, nice to see two Beata here. Interesting topic as usual from Women on IT. Agata is talking. Fascinating stuff, Beata. And Beata, do you manage your bespoke software teams remotely, or are they mostly in offices? I guess you partially answered to that question. My question as a follow-up would be, how big is your team in UK? How big is it in Poland? And what's the dynamic there? I mean, Poles versus Brits or whichever nation you manage to build your company upon.
Again, it's such a good question. So I will go back first to part one of the question. So everyone works remotely. We use obviously all of the standard tools to enable that work. In software development, we use specific tools to log time, to monitor project progress, to communicate. But COVID also included another dimension that teams which were specifically from one country. Before, we used to have teams which were clients' teams was UK based, and our Polish team was Polish based. Often some of the clients, like our clients Mitsubishi Corporation, giving the name, wanted always our team to come to London, even if they were coming to our meeting. It was a requirement, believe it or not. And COVID changed everything. So it's not only enabled that better understanding between the clients and our team, that things are online and you don't travel at the drop of the hat, but also it enables that cultural understanding that these teams are maybe not from one or two countries. They might now be placed in so many different countries. So currently we have one team that got members from Ukraine, Greece, UK, Poland, and there are so many different personalities in this one team that have to take into account possibly the slightly different cultural approaches. I like sort of there is a slightly different approach to explaining issues and problems, specifically when the situation gets tight or tough, and you have to provide others with constructive criticism. So there needs to be a lot of this understanding to this other person, and trying to map it all out across these different cultures. Sometimes I think can be a challenge.
Oh, absolutely. We know how challenging it is to deal with Polish directness and the way we speak, which is perceived quite harsh. I mean, my mother-in-law believed I'm shouting all the time at my daughter, and my daughter is shouting back at me. Anyway, building a team is critical. And as you mentioned, honesty, respect, and empathy are critical components of building resilient team. You mentioned that you had to fire some of the team members. Was it because you lost some clients or you lost some work, or was it because you just didn't have, scalability with you?
Yes, so there was a set COVID was a set time for us. Maybe because we were just a bit unlucky. Maybe because we have the reliance on one large client. But that client that we had the reliance on, sadly, was the events industry, the sort of hotels and catering. So we were building this massive, £2 million system for them. And when COVID started, they literally went bust from one day to the next. And they owed us a lot of money, so obviously we never got that money back. But what it also means that suddenly we had a team of 16 people on that project that we didn't have any work for, and we knew if we delay our decision even for a day more or a week more, it would be very difficult for our company to survive. So we had to pretty much take that decision on the spot and fire people. Obviously, we paid them. We paid everything that was we had to pay, which was quite substantial because in Poland we didn't get any subsidies for this. So we had to almost like use everything we could to enable that transition into the smaller team. And that was very difficult because that put us later under a lot of strain. But that's life, and you just deal with it.
So, what would be your lesson from that? Let's call it a failure. I mean, you were not the only ones who were not prepared for a pandemic. What would you say you would do differently next time preparing for anything like that might happen?
So from a business perspective, probably don't don't have one large client that you rely on. Not a good idea. Not one or two. Make sure that every client that you have is less than 30 to 40% of your revenue. I don't know whether I would do anything differently. I mean, if we were really ruthless, we probably would have found a way. But again, if we were really stuck by our values and we wanted to make sure that by people we do everything we can to ensure that we don't inconvenience anyone in a way that we shouldn't. So we just wanted always to fulfill our obligations, because if we didn't do that, then I wouldn't feel good about this with the rest of my life. So it's important, and this is where these values come on board, because you can talk values. You can say, oh, my values are this and this, and they really don't mean anything. But when they come in a wash, when it's really, basically shit hits the fan, this is really where you learn what your values are and how you fulfill them. So I'm
Yeah,
proud of us that we've done what we've done.
absolutely. You should be, Beata, because you've been acquired quite recently by a major company and you're growing your team. Can you tell us about that?
So yes, so this is a good news. So we merged into a larger group called Cohesus Group here in London, and they are the agency that acquired 7 smaller agencies. And I think what they're helping us to do is really to look into how we can scale the teams better, how we can utilize. They give us the framework to develop our business so much better, and looking through the HR processes, through cash flow control, through sales and marketing processes. And I think being a small business, again, you get to the point where you just think, gosh, it's really a hard work. I would do with some help. And that group came on board and are exactly enabling us to do this. So that's been really a good move for everyone.
Beata, we talked about the mistake you had relying on one big client. What are some other mistakes that you would want to warn founders of Bespoke Software House?
Okay, so specifically, maybe it's not so much about Bespoke Software House. Maybe it's more in relation to running your own business. I mean, there's so many mistakes we've made on the way. I don't even know where to start, believe me. But one of them is look after profits. Okay, so look after profits because in the end, profits will enable you to reinvest in everything else. So just giving you the examples, if there are tough decisions to be made and you need to reduce your costs, reduce them. Don't wait. Don't think things will improve. Just act very quickly, because if you don't have the money, you are unable to look after the people that are left in your team. And it's like a perpetuating cycle where you will always focus on the wrong things because the profits are just not there. So this would be my lesson, probably number one. I don't think we've done that enough, and it needed to be done. Number two, get rid of people who do not perform, and get rid of them quickly. Don't really talk to them first. Make sure that they understand where their skill sets are not aligning with what is needed, but then just remove them as quickly as possible. So yeah, I would say those two things are probably quite important.
So does it mean that Beata Green regrets not firing some people faster?
Probably yes. Probably by now, yes. Yeah.
Well, speaking about teams, you mentioned that, and we as female founders and working in the area of tech, we focus on bringing the best talent, but also diversifying our talent. What did you do to make sure that you just don't have only white blokes talking to white blokes about other white blokes?
That is tricky because obviously we have our teams in Poland, but we are expanding now abroad as well. So I think what we try to do always is to mix our teams and mix in terms of females male ratios as much as possible. And I have to be honest, it's not that easy to find a female programmer, which breaks my heart, but that's what it is. And I think during our career we only managed to have one or two, but we did manage to have a lot of project managers, and we managed to have a lot of testers and business analysts, and that diversity of having this different mix of the team, what it gave us really is a much better team structure and much better team balance, team spark and spirit, and I think that really worked very well. So we were always open to bringing diversity on board. It was just we were not always able to do it, having the office in Poland, which is quite monogamous environment.
You don't build a business, you build people, then people build the business, as Zig Ziglar says. How can you hire great talent without paying over the odds?
Yes, so it comes back again to the values the company has, but also I think also the key thing for technology teams is that self-development and learning. So what people want to do is they want to work on really interesting projects, and they don't want to maintain old systems which are not in the old tech, and maintain the documentation. What they want to do with bespoke software development is to innovate. So grab an idea, create something, have the ability to choose the technology, learn from this, work in the team which are experts in their own right, so they learn from each other. And if you can create that environment, and if you can sell it during the interview process, because this is very important, the interview process is now about selling the job in tech. It's not the other way around. It's not for the candidate. Well, the candidate obviously has to be good and has to have the right type of personality, but the focus of the interview is very much about you encouraging the candidate to join the company. And as a small business, we very much compete with large businesses, and that can be difficult sometimes, because large businesses offer people so much money. Just as the example, here in the UK, you wouldn't guess how much Google is paying the junior developers, junior being 1 to 2 years experience. I mean, their salary is over 100K per year, and that's for a junior position. So how you, as a small business, without the benefits of Google, like free food, swimming pool on the roof, God knows what, how can you even compete with that to get that best talent? It's not easy, but it's not impossible. And it's all about selling these other perks, and I think selling that environment where they feel part of your team and part of the company is crucial. And that flexibility, which allows them to work from anywhere, travel from the world, maybe do a few jobs at the same time as well. So one thing which these big corporations don't often restrict developers is to work for someone else. And I think we, as a small business, I don't care. As long as the job is done, who cares that in the evenings they do some other work? It's really about giving them enough flexibility to encourage them to join you and put these values on the top of it as well.
So we have Olga asking us question, and I'm going to go back to values because I'm curious what is your company's values. But before we go into that, thanks Beata and Beata for another great show. Olga says, how do you go about recruiting process, Beata? Is it always one person at a time, or do you seek teams? Do you always recruit only online?
So we mainly recruit one person at a time because we create teams. So the idea of our business model is we get individuals, and we ourselves have very established, strong software development process. That's what we've built up over 15 years, and this is almost like our strong IP. And yes, we do recruit online. So we have few places which we put adverts in, but mainly we hit people on LinkedIn and try to convince them to come to work for us. So that would be our style of recruitment. We try now to do more employee branding as well. But I have to say we're pretty much at the starting point with that.
Excellent. That's good news for us, Beata, because our woman-owned IT team is going digital. So One Digital is providing social media, digital footprint wherever in the world you are. We've got a team of strong female leaders who want you to succeed. So maybe we should go and try that. So Beata, that was a short break for some social media positioning here. Let's go into how you build your company, how to build software company. And I wanted to ask you, if I can only go to my notes, how did you seek investors into your company, or was it just the process of somebody approached you because they saw a huge potential in Beata?
So they, when you, and this is a good thing, when you run a company, specifically in tech, you get a lot of inquiries from investors. And I would say probably maybe few a month even. So they obviously, it's quite a time consuming process. So they will want to know a lot of the things. And specifically, they will look at things like, what's your revenue, what's your growth rate, what's your profit margin at the end of the year, what's your team like, what is the value you're delivering, who are your clients, what's your recurring revenue as well. So that there are a lot of aspects. And I think what happened with our investors is that they just came at the right time. So, and I think we clicked in terms of the personalities, because you don't always click, and they seemed like having similar values to our values, and they spoke very plain language. They didn't beat around the bush. They said what they mean. Sometimes, okay, sometimes maybe it was not so nice, but at least they said that, and we were able to discuss it. So we liked them, and we thought, we could work with these guys, and we can bring the company to the next level.
Fantastic. We've got greetings from I Esmeralda. Hi, ladies. Another interesting episode. Thank you. Thank you, I Esmeralda. Agata is asking, making a comment. Gosh, your digital agency so
Thank you.
Beata, and all the very best with that. Excited to hear how it progresses. Thank you, Agata. I'm looking forward to having and onboarding you as a first client, Agata. Right, let's go, Beata, back to our discussion about how to grow a bespoke software house. How do you make decision when it comes to incorporating the right digital technology tools into your team's workflow?
So we don't innovate here because we in software development there are a few products which already a lot of companies are comfortable with, and I think you can build something that is more bespoke, which you can add onto it. But a lot of products are already there. Where we need to innovate and think outside the box is for our clients, because sometimes the right choice of technology is not so obvious. So sometimes it would be unethical to suggest to the client that we build them something bespoke if they could use something which is already available there on the market. So this is where we need to do a bit more thinking and think what would work best for them, which elements we can deliver ourselves, which we need to integrate. And then we can only do this after we know what it is that they want to achieve in terms of the business objectives. So, for example, if you're building a system that measures pressure on prostheses for the amputees, you're creating something from scratch. You need to understand what it is that you want to create, and then you have to decide how best to deliver it. But in terms of our own team, the choices for software development products are industry standards. And for sales and marketing, we investigated the products which were available on the market, and we've chosen the ones which can deliver the sales automation that is very cost effective as well. So we haven't spent a lot of money on them, but we've chosen the products that we can we can pick for like 50, £100 a month each, and then ensure that we get what we needed to get for the sort of relatively low price.
Right, let's go to the purpose and your values. What are your company values and why did you focus on these values?
So our company values, and we thought about this. We even had had a workshop about this. There's honesty, and honesty means just being honest. But it's honesty about being honest if you don't like something as well. So it's being honest if someone doesn't do their job. It's being honest if you just need to resolve certain issue. And integrity is you need to really be integral to your own feelings. So the example I've given earlier about COVID and about having to make our team redundant and about the sort of following up with the financial compensation. We did what we felt was integral to us as people. And it's the other one was respect, by the way, as well. And respect means that you respect the other person, and that might mean that you are not late to meetings because you don't make another person waiting. You respect them because you're doing hard work as well. So you're working hard because you're part of the team. If you didn't do that hard work, if you didn't do your best, then you're not respecting the work of the others. So we thought about these values quite hard, and I think we always try to instill them in the team, but we also picked up people that we thought relate with those values as well. Because if the company has values, you can get away with so many other things which are not working in the company, because people would stay and believe in you. And believe me, it's not an easy thing to do either, because you have to live your values. So if you, as I said, if you put your values out there but you don't follow them, they don't really mean anything. People won't follow them. People won't follow you.
Absolutely, and these values are universal no matter what culture you're coming from. Beata, I wanted to ask you about a software company that is bespoke. Can you build a client base that are coming over and over to you, or is it like one-off product that you deliver?
And that's really the very critical point, because the lucky thing is that with the bespoke software development company, the likelihood is that your clients will stay with you. You know, it's like with the bank. You go and you open the account in the bank, and you have to go through all of this paperwork and, oh God, no, so many questions. You take the mortgage out, and the last thing you want to do is to change your bank account at some point. So even if there are any issues on the way, you will probably, as number one, try to resolve them. And it's a silly example, but it's a bit similar to software development company, because once you deliver things for the client, you sort of innovate with them throughout years. So often you start with a small system to build up another module, to build up a web portal, to then do the integration to yet another system, to build up management reporting module, to enable the system for someone else. So it can be years and years of ongoing work, and the key thing is then to sit down with the clients and plan that work on a regular basis. So we often found, specifically with startups who create software products, that they also need the advice. They need the advice on how to build the software, because they don't have that knowledge. So we're becoming like the CTO in addition to building the product as well. And often we also advise them how to market that product as well, which probably is not really our core skill.
So you're going beyond just to make sure that this client is going to be looked after. Olga is asking a very relevant question. So Beata Green, do you tend to maintain the software once built or hand it over to the clients so they can operate and upgrade it over time?
The models can vary. Sometimes the clients prefer to do it themselves, but I have to be honest, we've always been maintaining the software for them. So I don't think we had even one case where the client wanted to then go away and maintain it themselves. It just really depends on the client, but we seem to be we seem to just be doing all of the work for them. So then we have this regular SLAs, what's called SLAs with the clients, which we agree regular payments per month. And within that, we do a certain number of hours. And we also look after the whole infrastructure. We do security checks and testing on a regular basis, and then any upgrades that they might require us to do.
Does it mean that you have to be 24/7 available to clients' needs?
So thankfully not yet, but if this is needed, our new agency owners have also the offshoot of the company in India, which provide 24/7 support. So creating 24/7 infrastructure, support infrastructure, would be really a very massive undertaking, and probably not worth doing for us right now. But yeah, there are different options as well.
Fabulous. Before we go into our usual questions, I wanted to ask you, what do you believe is your competitive advantage over so many other software companies?
Yes. So again, it's a very good question. I think our advantage is that we can source good talent, and it's very important, because it's a people's business. So you need to have good people, and if you have good people, you can deliver. But probably most importantly, it's about the process, software development process. So we're working for one of the clients now with a large team, where there are some challenges, and it's not because people are not trying. People are trying really hard, but it's because the process is failing, and there's so many organizational issues around that. So we try and currently help them to resolve that. But it's people, and process. The two things I would say that need to go together.
Talking about people, talking about hiring them, what would you be your advice to all the females who wanted to be on the career path in your company and reach the top of your company?
Oh gosh, I love that subject. I've got so many advices for women in business and in IT specifically, because I know myself years and years ago. So I would say just, be yourself, have the goals in mind, know where you want to go in your life, and that really helps you then to define that path. And learn, always learn, learn not just technologies, learn about yourself, and learn what improves you as a person and what improves you in the business. And I know it's very difficult to find the time, but try to reflect throughout your journey on that as well. And don't suffer from imposter syndrome. Another one, just look always at your skills, because we all have so many strong skills. We're not good at everything, but we're definitely good at some things, and try to utilize them and improve these other skills. But if we're looking for people, it's not so much how much they know when they come to us, not how experts they are, but their aptitude for learning and their personality. Obviously, they have to know a little bit, but the attitude, the hunger, the willingness to progress, the honesty in all of this approach is probably what I would be looking for.
None of us are able to achieve success without some help along the way. What is your person that you're very grateful towards and who helped you build this bespoke software company?
So I would say I have one person and I have one advice. So the person that really helped me is my partner, Andy. I can't say that it's been always easy. So we run the business together. We're also married, but he's been always very supportive, and we never really came to hold because of the issues that we had over the business, which is sometimes, as you can gather, it's difficult. But what I would advise every single one of you, which I didn't have, is to have your own personal mentor. And by mentor means it doesn't have to be anyone you pay. It's not that. It's just really could be a good friend that you sit down once a month and you look, at your board of goals where you want to get into professionally, and you say, okay, what do I need to do as the next step? Am I in the right job? As long as you're learning, you're probably okay. If you're not learning, get out quickly. So someone who can really objectively from the other side look with you through your goals and really just be there for you to talk through them yourself.
Beautiful advice. I second that, especially that I also have a husband who's running business with me. What is the number one book you can sit and think, oh, I wish I could read it before I started my business?
Yeah, I'm not really sure that that's a good question again. It's probably not the one that I would recommend reading before, but oh God, it's such a great book. It's a Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. It's a Nike ex-owner, and he talks about running Nike throughout years. And, that book is so inspirational because he writes it in such an honest language, and it's all about creating that vision, that business that through 16 years has been struggling and has been on the brink of bankruptcy every few months. And he still managed to create the team, deliver. And in the end, obviously Nike now is worth billions and billions. But the story of this ups and downs of the business, of himself as a person is really really fascinating, and it just makes you think that the business and life are really just a journey that you on, that you just have to enjoy. There's no other way. Just find a way to enjoy the whole process from beginning to an end.
So it's universal advice, no matter whether you're building a software house or whether you're running a company. for running shoes. Beata, what is your favorite life lesson quote and how did it change you?
I like the quote given by not so much a business guy, but a person that am fascinated by. It's a guy called Anthony Bourdain. He is a chef, was a chef, and a gifted chef and storyteller. And he's made his success at the age of 43 and sadly committed suicide at the age of 61. So he said, luck is not a business model. And he's very right. Luck is not a business model. Luck is what we work for. Okay, a bit of luck is great, but it's just luck is just such a hard work. You know, you have to push at it. And I think it summarizes, the quote summarizes it really well.
Right, he's also advised, he's been showing different businesses all over the world, different restaurants, different food trucks. Now, he was able to travel, but imagine if we had another pandemic and then we could go anywhere in the world, who would you, Beata Green, invite as a person to have private breakfast, face-to-face breakfast, and where in the world would you choose to have that private meeting?
Yes, I probably end up with so many people, but I really am fascinated by Dalai Lama and his approach to life as well, his calmness and kindness and maturity. So I probably would like to invite him, and I would like to do it at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. in the morning on a very empty beach somewhere, it doesn't matter where, but just somewhere peaceful and quiet, and listen to his wisdom. That would be fantastic, having a chance to do that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Beata, for sharing your stories with us. As you said, Anthony Bourdain was a great storyteller. You definitely are in similar league. We wanted to encourage you to listen to the latest podcast. Beata was talking about how podcasts inspire her to do some business and some marketing and sales techniques. We can listen to the Tyronda Glinton Femstem Bahamas episode. It's already on our live streams. And also you can tune in into any past live stream that we had in the past. Now, next week, we don't have PhD. Positivity Hack Delivered is on vacation. We are going to gather again in September. Beata, thank you so much for today's discussion. I wanted to bring this quotation on this episode. Everyone wants to live on top of the mountain, but all happiness and growth occurs while you're climbing it, Andy Rooney said. As always, our positivity quote comes from positive thinking only and goes, look for something positive in each day. Even if some days you have to look a little harder. That was also the mantra that led Beata into building her company and now being acquired. If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. Today is your day to hack the future, hack the positivity you want. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me as well. It's been